Attraction doesn't shout. It doesn't scramble to dazzle with clever lines, tall tales, or forced swagger. The most captivating men on earth don't beg for eyes. They seize them. And they do it without uttering a sound. Most guys cling to the myth that charm lies in their chatter. But here's the brutal truth. Your presence roars louder than your voice ever could. The way you stride, the steel in your stance, the calm in your reaction, these carve your mark deeper than any words you sling. A man who pulls others in like gravity doesn't grovel to prove his worth. He doesn't chase shadows, fish for praise, or flail to fill the silence. He simply is, and that alone demands notice. His vibe hits like a shockwave. His every move is deliberate. His quiet isn't a void, it's a thunderclap of strength. This is Stoicism's bedrock: control, discipline, presence. A Stoic doesn't strain to shine. He forges himself into a force too solid to overlook. And the kicker? You don't need to reinvent yourself. You just need to sharpen the right habits. In this video, we're unleashing 11 relentless habits to make you irresistibly magnetic. No words required. Ready to master presence, lock down control, and wield silent power? Smash that like, subscribe to Victory Stoic, and hit the comments. Are you gripping attention? Or still scrambling for it? Let's roll. Number 1. Stop trying to please everyone. True attraction comes from living by your own values. A man who bends to please others will never be respected. A man who stands firm in his principles, regardless of external opinions, will always be remembered. Attraction is not about approval, it's about authenticity. Many men fall into the trap of trying to be agreeable, thinking that being liked by everyone will make them attractive. They smile at the right times, nod in agreement even when they disagree, and adjust their opinions to match those around them. But in trying to be liked by everyone, they become respected by no one. Take Chris, for example. Chris was the kind of guy who never wanted to upset anyone. When he was with a group of friends, he always agreed with the dominant opinion, even if he didn't fully believe it. If a woman he liked mentioned something she was passionate about, he would instantly pretend to be interested too, just to gain her approval. Over time, people liked having Chris around. He was easygoing, always agreeable, but they didn't respect him. Why? Because he stood for nothing. Then there's Daniel. Daniel was different. He didn't go out of his way to disagree with people, but he also didn't change his stance just to fit in. If someone made a joke he found tasteless, he didn't fake laughter. If a woman asked him if he liked something and he didn't, he would simply say, "Not really. It's not my thing." He had preferences, values, and opinions, and he wasn't afraid to stand by them. People respected Daniel. They may not have always agreed with him, but they knew he was real. Women found him intriguing because he was a man who could not be easily swayed, a man who had his own center of gravity. Why trying to please everyone kills attraction? 1. People can sense when you're inauthentic. Women, in particular, have an instinct for detecting when a man is saying things just to gain favor. If your opinions shift depending on who you're talking to, you come across as weak and unsure of yourself. 2. Agreeability does not equal strength. Many men assume that being easygoing will make them more likable. And while it may make you likable, it does not make you attractive. Women are drawn to men who stand firm, not men who bend too easily. 3. Trying to please everyone makes you forget who you are. The more you shape yourself to fit others, the further you drift from your own values, and that is the fastest way to lose confidence. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This means that if you want to be truly strong, you must be willing to be misunderstood. You must be comfortable standing alone in your truth. How to stop being a people pleaser and gain real presence. 1. Identify your core values. What do you believe in? What are your principles? What are the things you are unwilling to compromise on? If you don't know these things, you will always be shaped by others. 2. Practice saying no. If someone asks something of you that you don't want to do, say no. You don't have to justify it. A simple "I'm not interested in that" is enough. 3. Express your true opinions without fear. You don't have to argue with people, but if you disagree with something, you can state your perspective calmly and confidently. Number 4. Stop seeking approval. When you post something online, do you check the likes? When you text someone, do you anxiously wait for a response? Catch yourself in these moments and remind yourself, your value is not determined by external validation. The most attractive men in the world are the ones who stand for something. They are immovable in their principles. They are respected because they are rare. The question is, are you shaping yourself to fit the world? Or are you shaping the world by being exactly who you are? Number 2, cut a razor's edge. Command your look with swagger. Forget the myth that allure demands a closet stuffed with designer threads. You don't need a Rolex ticking on your wrist, loud logos screaming wealth, or garish get-ups to turn heads. What you need is presence, and that ignites the second you decide how to show up. Humans size you up in a heartbeat, not out of pettiness, but because your exterior broadcasts your inner steel. Discipline, precision, self-worth. A man who's polished, sharp, and moves like he owns the ground beneath him doesn't just blend in, he owns the scene, no words required. Picture Michael and Jake. Michael slouches in, shirt creased like yesterday's laundry, shoes battered, beard a wild mess. He scoffed at dressing up, calling it fake, and let effort slide. Then there's Jake, rocking simple, fitted gear, shoes gleaming, grooming tight as a drum. Same room, same crowd, eyes lock on Jake. Not because he's a runway model, but because he radiates a man in command of his chaos. Your style? It's more than fabric. It's your stance, your strut, your unspoken story. A crisp white tee and jeans that fit like they were forged for you can outshine a $2,000 suit if you wear them like a king. A trimmed beard or a fresh fade screams you've got your act together. Little moves, polished boots, a subtle signature scent, craft an edge that sticks in minds long after you're gone. Marcus Aurelius nailed it. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. See yourself as a force worth reckoning, and your look will echo that fire. Presence isn't just a mindset, it's the armor you wear into battle every day. Style isn't about kissing up to the crowd, it's about standing tall as a man who knows his value. So when you step into the fray, do they clock a titan worth remembering, or a ghost they've already forgotten? Number 3, speak less. Let your words carry weight. A man who speaks too much gives away his power. A man who speaks with intention commands respect. The most magnetic individuals are not the ones who dominate conversations. They are the ones who make every word count. People who talk excessively reveal too much about themselves. They explain, they justify, they seek approval through words. But the men who attract the most attention are the ones who leave people wondering. Mystery is power. When you don't always share what you're thinking, people become curious. They lean in, they try to decode your silence. They respect the weight of your words when you finally speak. Take 2 men, Ethan and Lucas. Ethan fills every silence, always talking, explaining himself, and trying to impress people with stories and opinions. Lucas, on the other hand, listens more than he speaks. When he does say something, it is clear, direct, and intentional. Who do you think people respect more? Who do you think women are more drawn to? The man who constantly seeks attention, or the man who effortlessly draws it in? Silence makes you unpredictable. It forces others to think about you even when you're not around. It makes them value your words because they know you don't waste them. Great leaders, powerful men, and the most captivating individuals all share this trait. They never say more than necessary. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." A Stoic man understands this deeply. He does not use words to fill space, he uses them to shape reality. The question is, do people hang on to your words, or do they forget them the moment you stop talking? Number 4, anchor yourself in the moment. Listen with your whole being. In a world buzzing with chaos, phones pinging, screens glowing, minds racing to the next thing, the rarest gift a man can offer is his full, unshaken presence. Not just hearing sounds, but truly listening, locking in, tuning out the noise, and giving someone his entire focus. A quiet power that draws people in without a single word. Most men stumble here, hearing but not listening, nodding at the right beats, poised to jump in with their own take, while their thoughts drift and eyes wander. A small gap women especially catch in an instant, feeling the difference between a man who's all there and one just playing the part. People crave to be seen, to be felt, and in a typical chat where everyone's half listening, plotting their next line, when you zero in, eyes steady, ears open, mind clear, you weave a thread of connection that hums with life. not loud or forced, but simply there. And that's why it sticks. Take Daniel on a date. He's not just there to fill space. His eyes meet hers and hold, soft but sure, leaning in just enough, drinking in her words, catching the tiny pauses, the shift in her voice when she lights up, not merely hearing, but tracing the shape of her thoughts. And by the night's end, she might not pin down why, but she feels him. Not because he dazzled with wit, but because he made her the center of his world for those moments. While a lesser man might nod, glance at his phone, or cut in with his own tale, leaving the talk flat and forgettable. Stoicism whispers a simple truth. The present is all you've got. Marcus Aurelius putting it plain. Confine yourself to the present, stripping away clutter, locking into what's before you, be it a task or a soul, and radiating control, poise, respect. For when someone's truly heard, they feel it in their bones. Most men listening to fire back while a Stoic listens to know. That presence burning into memory, a fleeting second of real, human tethering sticking deeper than hours of noise, setting you apart from the tangled, twitchy, distracted masses, making you the exception they'll recall. How to own it? Ditch the phone. On a date, in a talk with a friend. Let it sit, one glance at that screen cutting the cord. Ease up, don't leap to fill the silence. Let it linger, let it breathe. Hold their gaze, not a stare down but a steady, warm anchor. I'm here with you. Echo their rhythm, riding their buzz or settling into their low, up, quiet bridge, wordless and true. Dig deeper, don't just nod. Ask the question that pulls the thread, shows you're in it with them. The world's a clamor of half-heard lives, but a man who plants himself fully in the now is the rarest catch. Master this, and you won't just draw eyes, you'll hold hearts. So tell me, are you truly there, or just biding time till your turn? Number 5. Forge your own fire. Let attention chase you. A man scrambling for the spotlight rarely holds it long. The harder you claw to dazzle the crowd, shouting your worth, fishing for nods, bending over backward to be seen, the more you telegraph a hollow truth. You're starving for their approval. But the man who turns inward, who carves his own trail in quiet resolve, who doesn't grovel for a glance, he's the one who pulls eyes without lifting a finger. Picture Nathan and Caleb, two souls cut from different cloth. Nathan's a whirlwind of need. He's the guy who storms into a room, voice booming over the chatter, steering every conversation back to his latest win, his sharpest quip, his loudest proof of life. Online, he's relentless, a flood of posts, each one a megaphone blaring, "See me, I'm here, I'm enough." He'd sidle up to women with a grin too eager, a vibe too try-hard, spilling stories of his greatness before they even asked. All that hustle, and what did it earn him? A shrug, a polite nod, a fleeting sure he's around, then nothing. No gravity, no echo. Just noise fading into the void. Caleb? He's a different beast. He doesn't chase the glare, he lets it find him. Quiet, yes, but it's a quiet that hums with steel. He's not peacocking, not preening, not begging for the stage. At a party, he's the one leaning against the wall, drink in hand, eyes sharp, taking it all in. He doesn't flood the airwaves with selfies or flexes, but when he drops a rare word, online or in the flesh, it lands like a stone in still water, rippling out. People don't just hear him, they feel him. He's not selling himself, yet they buy in. Take one night, a crowded room buzzing with laughter and clinking glasses. Nathan's at it again, center of the circle, tossing out punchlines, reciting his resume like it's a script, desperate to glue every eye to him. He's a one-man show, but the crowd's half checked out, humoring him at best. Caleb's off to the side, calm as a blade, mostly listening, sipping his drink. Then, out of nowhere, he speaks. A single, steady sentence. Nothing flashy, just real. Heads swivel. The chatter dips. Why? Because his words carry weight, not volume. Because his stillness screams control. Because he's not starving for their applause. And that's what hooks them. Here's the twist of the game. The less you chase the gaze, the more it hunts you down. Women don't melt for the man panting at their heels, spilling his soul to win a smile. They're pulled to the one who's tethered to something bigger. A purpose, a fire, a path that doesn't bend for their yes or no. A man who's got a mission burning in his chest, who strides forward with quiet grit, who'd rather build his world than beg for a corner in theirs. That's the silhouette they can't look away from. Marcus Aurelius saw it clear as day. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Flip that script. Stop scrounging for scraps of validation and pour that hunger into your own forge, your craft, your strength, your soul. The second you do, the air changes. People don't just notice you, they respect you because you don't need their spotlight to shine. Nathan chased the roar and got silence. Caleb built himself and the world leaned in. So where do you stand? Are you still running after their eyes? Or are you stacking the bricks of a life so solid they can't help but stare? Number 6. Train your body. Strength is discipline made visible. A strong body is more than just aesthetics. It is a physical manifestation of discipline, perseverance, and self-respect. You don't need to be an athlete or a bodybuilder, but you do need to be strong. Strength is not just about muscles, it's about control. A man who commands his body commands his life. Liam and Scott were two very different men. Liam had always neglected his fitness. He told himself that personality mattered more than looks, that women didn't care about physical strength, and that success in life wasn't determined by how much you could lift. He lived comfortably, ate whatever he wanted, skipped workouts, and avoided discomfort. Over time, he became soft, not just physically, but mentally. He lacked energy, drive, and presence. When he entered a room, he blended into the background. Scott, on the other hand, understood something deeper. He wasn't obsessed with looking good, he was obsessed with being disciplined. Every morning he trained, whether he felt like it or not. He pushed his limits, not to impress anyone, but to prove to himself that he was in control. His body became a reflection of his mindset, strong, sharp, resilient. At a social event, the difference was clear. Liam slouched, feeling insecure in his own skin. Scott stood tall, moving with the confidence of a man who knew his own strength. He didn't need to say a word. His presence alone commanded respect. Women noticed, not because of his muscles, but because of the quiet intensity that came with knowing he was disciplined, focused, and capable. The body is not just flesh, it is proof of who you are. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Training your body is the simplest way to prove this to yourself daily. Strength is a choice. The question is, when people look at you, do they see a man of control or a man who has let himself go? Number 7. Wield your voice like a blade, deep, steady, and unshaken. A man's voice isn't just sound. It's a weapon, a quiet force that can seize a room, carve out respect, and etch itself into memory without ever breaking a sweat. It's not about barking loud, flexing bravado, or bulldozing the airwaves. It's about precision. Every syllable deliberate, every tone clear, every breath controlled. A voice like that doesn't plead for ears, it bends them to its will. Think of the giants, leaders who sway nations, icons who linger in legends, strangers who stop you cold with a single line. What ties them together? They don't trip over themselves, don't jitter, don't ramble. Their words drop like stones into a still pond, simple, sure, and rippling with intent. That's power, and it's yours to claim. Take Jason and Marcus, two men worlds apart in how they wield their tongues. Jason's a flurry. He spills words like he's racing a clock, tripping over half-formed thoughts, terrified of a quiet beat. His pitch climbs at every sentence's end, a question mark where a period should land, as if he's begging, "Am I okay? Did I nail it?" He cuts in, peppers the air with us and ums, tosses nervous chuckles to dodge the weight of silence. His chatter floats by, light, fleeting, gone. No one leans in, they just let it pass. Marcus, though, he's a different breed. His voice rolls out slow, a low hum that fills the space without force. He doesn't hurry, doesn't fidget, doesn't chase the next word. When he speaks, it's like he's laying bricks, each one solid, each one meant. Silence isn't his enemy, it's his ally. He'll pause, let it hang, let it pull the room tighter, and then drop a line that hits like a hammer. People don't just hear him. They turn, they lock in, they feel the ground shift. He's not fishing for their nods, he's giving them something to hold on to. Why a mastered voice pulls like gravity. A voice that's deep and anchored screams command. Men feel it, women sense it, the air itself carries it. It's primal, a signal of a man at ease in his own skin. Slow speech isn't lazy, it's a hook. Rush your words and they scatter like dust, pace them right and they sink into bones. Unforgettable. Control isn't just audible, it's visceral. A steady tone doesn't just say confidence, it proves you've got the reins, not just over the talk, but over yourself. How to forge that iron voice. Ease off the gas. If you think you're cruising at normal, dial it back further. Let your words stretch, breathe, settle. Drop the pitch, not a cartoon growl, but a natural rumble, rooted in your chest, not squeaking from your throat. Cut the clutter. Banish the us, ums, likes that dilute your steel. Speak in clean, unbroken lines. Embrace the void. Don't flinch at silence. A beat before you strike builds hunger, makes them crave what's next. Marcus Aurelius carved it sharp. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Every word's got a job. Make it count. Make it land. A man who reins in his voice doesn't grovel for an audience. He crafts one. So where do you stand? Are you planting your flag with every sound, or just kicking up dust in the wind? Number 8. Cultivate intelligence and cultural awareness. A man with a sharp mind is impossible to ignore. True intelligence is not about showing off or overwhelming others with facts. It's about depth, curiosity, and the ability to see the world through multiple perspectives. People respect knowledge, but they are drawn to those who carry it with quiet confidence. Nathan and Victor both traveled the world, read books, and explored different cultures. Nathan, however, couldn't resist letting everyone know. He dominated conversations, constantly mentioning his experiences, throwing in foreign phrases, and correcting others to prove his intellect. At first, people found him interesting, but over time, they started tuning him out. His need to showcase his knowledge made it less valuable. Victor, on the other hand, carried himself differently. He didn't brag about his experiences, but when the right moment came, he had insights that added value to conversations. He didn't correct people, he asked questions that made them think. He wasn't loud, he was thoughtful. Because of this, people leaned in when he spoke. His intelligence wasn't a performance, it was a presence. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look beneath the surface, let not the outward appearances mislead you." This applies not only to how you see the world, but also to how others perceive you. A well-read man, a well-traveled man, or a deeply knowledgeable man is attractive, but only if he does not seek approval through it. A man who studies deeply, who understands multiple cultures, who listens more than he speaks, and who never boasts, is magnetic. Intelligence is most powerful when it's revealed naturally, not forced into the spotlight. The question is, do you seek knowledge for yourself or for the approval of others? Number 9. Wield compassion. Like a silent storm. Compassion gets twisted in the wind too often. Some men dodge it, sneering that it's a crack in their armor, a soft spot that'll bleed them dry. Others drown in it, chasing gold stars by patching every tear they spot. But real compassion, the kind that grips respect and pulls people close, doesn't shout or grovel. It's a quiet thunder, steady as stone, raw and true, rolling in only when it's meant to strike. Take Oliver, a man carved from a different grain. He wasn't the type to plaster his feelings on a billboard. None of that loud, teary-eyed, "I'm here for you" fanfare that reeks of a plea for applause. No, Oliver moved like a shadow with a pulse. Picture a friend crumbling under a rough night. Job gone, heart cracked, the works. Most guys might swoop in, capes flapping, tossing fixes like confetti. "You should do this, let me handle that," all eager to play savior and soak up the gratitude. Not Oliver. He'd show up, sit close, and just be. His eyes locked on, steady, not darting for an exit. He'd listen, really listen, letting the words spill without jumping to plug the holes. Maybe he'd nod, maybe he'd drop a line, simple but heavy, like, "You're tougher than this mess." No fuss, no flood of advice, just a presence that said, "I've got you," without choking the air. Contrast that with the other kind of man, the one who'd turn the same scene into his stage. He'd be all over it, smothering with help nobody asked for, fishing for a "thanks man, you're the best." His kindness wasn't a gift, it was a transaction, doled out to lock in approval, not to lift anyone up. Oliver? He didn't need the pat on the back. He'd help if it fit, carry a burden, lend a hand, but he'd never bleed himself dry for a nod. He had edges, lines he wouldn't cross, a spine that didn't bend just to be liked. And that's why, when he stepped in, it mattered. People didn't just lean on him, they remembered him, valued him, sought him out, not because he was always there, but because he was there when it counted. Marcus Aurelius etched it deep. Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. That's the Stoic's compass. Compassion isn't a weepy free-for-all. It's a deliberate anchor, dropped with purpose. It's not about gushing to prove you're human. It's about standing firm, a rock in the tide, reliable when the waves hit hard. People don't forget the guy who holds steady while they're shaking, who meets their mess with patience, not pity. Women especially feel that pull, not to some icy wall of a man, nor a doormat scrambling to please, but to the one who's strong enough to care without caving, who listens without turning it into his spotlight, who lifts without losing his footing. That's the real deal. Compassion that doesn't grovel for a medal, but knows exactly when to step into the fray. Think of Oliver at a quiet bar, late, with a friend spilling grief over a busted relationship. The room's humming, glasses clinking, but he's zeroed in. Phone off, no fidgeting, just there. He doesn't flood the guy with "she's not worth it" or some rehearsed pep talk. He lets the story unfold, catches the cracks in the voice, the weight behind the words. Then, after a long beat, he says, "You'll come out the other side. Always do." It's not much, but it's everything. Calm, certain, a lifeline tossed without fanfare. That friend won't forget it, not because Oliver played hero, but because he didn't need to. His compassion wasn't a performance, it was power, quiet and unshakable. So where's your heart at? Are you rolling up with compassion because it's in you deep and real, or are you just angling for the good guy badge to pin on your chest? One builds a legacy, the other's just smoke. Which are you breathing? Number 10, radiate joy and know how to enjoy life. True attraction isn't just about strength, mystery, or confidence. It's also about energy. A man who knows how to enjoy life, who carries a sense of joy even in difficult moments, naturally draws people in. Positivity is contagious, and a man who can create it effortlessly is impossible to ignore. David and Ethan had completely different energies. David was the kind of man who found something to complain about in every situation. If plans changed, he got annoyed. If the weather was bad, he made sure everyone knew how much he hated it. His presence was draining. Even when things were good, he never seemed to fully enjoy them. Ethan, on the other hand, had a completely different mindset. He wasn't oblivious to life's struggles, he just refused to let them control his attitude. He could laugh at setbacks, make light of small inconveniences, and find something positive in almost every situation. When he was around, people felt at ease. They wanted to be near him, not because he forced himself to be funny or loud, but because his presence made the world feel lighter. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is what separates the truly attractive from the ordinary. A man who can find joy even in imperfect situations is a man who remains in control. Life will never be perfect. There will always be stress, challenges, and unexpected problems. But if you learn to enjoy the small things, to laugh, to bring good energy into the room, to stay calm and optimistic, you become a man people want to be around. The question is, when you enter a room, do you bring energy into it or do you drain it? Number 11, develop emotional intelligence and social awareness. Attraction isn't just about looks, status, or confidence. One of the most powerful yet underrated traits a man can develop is emotional intelligence, the ability to read people, understand emotions, and adjust accordingly without losing control. Men who lack emotional intelligence often struggle socially without realizing why. They misread situations, talk when they should listen, react emotionally instead of strategically, and fail to notice subtle shifts in energy. A man who cannot read the room is a man who will always be at a disadvantage. Take Adam and Julian. Adam was smart, ambitious, and confident, but he had zero social awareness. When talking to people, he dominated conversations, rarely noticed when others were uncomfortable, and dismissed emotions as unimportant. If someone was upset, he either ignored it or tried to fix the problem with logic rather than empathy. Over time, people found him exhausting to be around. Women didn't feel emotionally connected to him because he couldn't sense the energy in an interaction. Julian, on the other hand, had mastered subtle awareness. He could pick up on small cues, someone's tone shifting, their body language tightening, the slight hesitation in their voice. He didn't just listen to words, he listened to what wasn't being said. When he spoke, he adjusted his delivery based on the emotional state of the person in front of him. Because of this, people naturally opened up to him. Women felt safe, understood, and drawn in, not because he was playing a game, but because he was deeply in tune with the energy of a conversation. Epictetus wrote, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." A Stoic understands that observation is more powerful than speech. The ability to listen, to notice, and to adjust without being reactive is a rare skill, and rare skills always command respect. A man with high emotional intelligence knows when to speak and when to stay silent. He can sense when someone needs space and when they need engagement. He can hold back his own emotional impulses in the moment, knowing that control always wins in the long run. The question is, are you truly aware of the emotions around you, or are you just waiting for your turn to talk? Number 12. Be steadfast, reliable, and trustworthy. Your reputation is everything. A man who lacks consistency is a man who cannot be trusted. People may admire charm, intelligence, or confidence, but at the end of the day, they only respect those who are reliable. A man who says one thing but does another, who changes his stance depending on the situation, or who disappears when things get difficult, is not a man people want to follow, trust, or be with. True attraction isn't built overnight. It is reinforced through actions, patterns, and unwavering integrity. A man who keeps his word, who follows through on what he promises, who doesn't pretend to be something he's not. This is the man who builds respect effortlessly. Why reliability and integrity make you magnetic. Women trust consistency over charm. A man who is unpredictable in his values and actions may be exciting at first, but he quickly loses attraction. Women are drawn to stability, strength, and reliability. 2. People respect those who do what they say. If you commit to something, whether it's a workout routine, a business plan, or a relationship, and you follow through, you naturally gain authority. 3. Trust builds reputation, and reputation is power. In any social circle, the man who can be counted on is the one people look up to. Opportunities, connections, and respect come to those who are known for their word. The difference between unreliable and reliable men. Ethan was unpredictable. He'd say he would meet a friend at 6 p.m. but cancel last minute. He promised to be there for people, but often had an excuse. He told women what they wanted to hear, but never truly meant it. Over time, people stopped expecting much from him. They liked him, but they never truly respected him. Then there was Daniel. If he said he'd be somewhere, he showed up. If he promised something, he delivered. He didn't try to impress people. He just lived by his principles, and because of that, people trusted him. He didn't just gain respect, he commanded it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." A Stoic understands that a man's value is not in his words, but in his consistency of action. A strong man is one who does not waver, who remains honest even when it's difficult, who stands firm in his values no matter who is watching. The question is, do people trust you to do what you say? Or are you just another man who talks? Conclusion: the silent power of true attraction. Attraction isn't about being the loudest, the flashiest, or the most charming. It's about presence, discipline, and the quiet confidence of a man who knows his worth. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone. When you live with purpose, composure, and authenticity, your energy speaks for itself. People respect those who are steady, who don't seek approval, and who stand firm in their values. Women are drawn to men who are too focused on their own mission to chase validation. You don't need to change to be attractive. You need to refine who you already are. At the core of Stoicism is control over oneself. When you master your emotions, cultivate strength, and move with quiet certainty, attraction is no longer something you seek. It becomes something you naturally create. Your silence carries weight. Your presence is undeniable. If this resonated with you, like this video, subscribe to Victory Stoic, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Drop a comment. Which habit are you working on right now? Thank you for watching. Stay sharp, stay disciplined, stay in control.